Good evening, Mayor and Council. I am Christy Batterson, the Housing and Community Development Manager for the City of Edmond. It's my honor to present to you our federal fiscal year 22 action plan. So this is a requirement of the federal government. So yay, here we go. Just to remind everybody, the Community Development Block Grant is a federal funding allocated that is set by Congress annually and administered through HUD. The funding allocations are based on formulas of the number of lower income individuals, as well as our housing stock, the poverty levels, deteriorated housing and conditions. I wanted to let you know this evening that you will not be hearing anything about our Oklahoma Commerce Grant that we have right now, the $1.7 million that we received in CARES funding through them. That's a separate allocation. We are subrecipients of the state for that. This is our entitlement funding. We are one of 9 entitlement communities here in Oklahoma. CDBG program is to develop the viable urban community. National objectives are to benefit, basically bottom line, the low to moderate income individuals. You'll hear me call it LMI throughout this presentation. It's to aid in the prevention or elimination of slum and blight. And of course, the urgent need or that we saw in like the pandemic where they released more funds if needed. We try to focus on activities that have the biggest impact here in Edmond, which are our public services, our housing rehabilitation, our home buyers assistance, and any infrastructure improvements that we can make and public facility improvements. HUD requires us to do a 5-year consolidation plan. You all approved that back in 2020. We are in our 3rd year, and basically what that is a plan that we look at and have to project, kind of like our strategic plan for the next 5 years. We consider all resources. We identify housing and community needs, and then each annual year or each year thereafter, we carry out what is set in our 5-year plan. That is also done with our Citizen Participation Committee. We have to have a citizen participation plan that outlines how we allocate our funding, when we have to do amendments, and who gets what money. We have 7 members on there that meet throughout the year and help us decide how we allocate our funding. Our CDBG funding does have limits, unfortunately. We are set at a 15% max that we can give to public services. We are set at a 20% max for all administration costs, and the majority of our funding, you can see there, about 65% go to all our other funding. Some might be wondering where our CDBG area is. So our CDBG area, as you see on the screen, whoops, I knew I was going to hit the wrong button. Danforth is up here. It comes right to the west of, I believe that's Kingston addition right there. There's the homeland that's on the corner of Bryant and Danforth. This is Bryant. This is Ayers. Goes down Rankin to 15th and comes up about Fretz and then over to Kelly. You'll see that it's missing this corner where the Cox and the tennis center and everything is, or at least Cox Communications. That's considered commercial, and so we don't include that in our CDBG area. This is considered our target area. Everybody that we assist has to be greater than 51% LMI. And this is what census tracts say, that the majority of our population that is 51% or more. Some people wonder how much LMI we have throughout the city. We're sitting at about 27%. This is not from the 2020 census. We still do not have those numbers. It has to be a continuous area, so we do have some pockets that are throughout the city, but because it has to be continuous, this is the most that are together. We don't know when we'll get the new numbers, so. Also, people wonder, well, what does make low-income individuals? These are done also annually by HUD. We're set by these and have to follow these income requirements. As you see, one individual can make no more than $45,850 more than that, so we would serve them if they make that or less. That's about 80% of the area median income. You can see a family of 4, that's only $65,500. So they have to meet these income qualifications before we can serve them with services. So the big question, how much did we get and where we're spending it? We received $508,326. To let you know, that is $17,000 less than we received last year because of the rescue plan and other infrastructure bills that are happening. They focused more on what we call home funds, which we are not a participation jurisdiction because we don't get enough money from HUD. It's kind of a double-edged sword, so we don't qualify for that funding. It's unfortunate, but luckily we're very conservative in our services. So we have about $100,000 and I'm going to pull because of CARES funding. I didn't spend any of our regular allocation in 2020 or 2021. And so we will be pulling $100,000 from it. If you all remember, I was here a couple of weeks ago because we were the only one in the state that spent all our CARES funding. We received an additional $143,000 that we'll be using for Edmond Mobile Meals kitchen renovation. This is just a breakdown of our overall budget. Housing and non-housing, we're going to be using about $430,000. If you remember a couple of slides ago, that's about 65% of our budget. This includes, and I'll show you later on what that includes, public services. That max again, we can only spend $76,000. Public services CV funds, that's the CARES funds that we just received, $143,000. And then, of course, public administration, its max is at 20%, and it's a little over $101,000. And I'll explain, I've got a breakout of each of that a little bit more. Close and dear to my heart are public services. We really couldn't have had administered all our CARES funding without the great partnerships of the nonprofits throughout the community. They make the biggest social impact throughout the community. Here are those individual nonprofits that are going to be receiving some sort of allocation. You Are Special Ministries. They do 3 clothing distributions a year for school-age children 3 to 9 years old. They receive 1 brand new outfit. They receive shoes. In the winter, they receive coats. At Easter, the girls receive Easter dresses that are homemade by individual great volunteers there at You Are Special. Of course, Edmond Mobile Meals serves our senior population. Hope Center has 3 individual programs that we will be contributing to. They have medical services. Those are the pharmacy cards. So if an individual can't pay for their prescriptions, the Hope Center does pay for that to the pharmacy. They are also hoping to open back up their women's clinic that will offer prenatal care to women. So this is kind of their seed money to help get their nurse practitioner back on staff. They know going forward we may not be able to support that, but it's just to get it back up and going. And of course, rental assistance. They are still using some CARES money, but we're finding that there's more individuals that have not been affected by COVID or during the pandemic, and you can only get rental assistance through the CARES funding if you've been impacted by COVID. So they asked for some rental assistance to assist those individuals that may not have been impacted in any way. That is only up to a 3-month period of time, and that is paid directly to the landlord and Ward Mortgage Company. One thing about public services, it cannot be a direct recipient payment, meaning the person that's asking for the service can't receive the funding. It either has to go to an entity, landlord, mortgage company, pharmacy, et cetera. You'll notice Project 66 doesn't have any funding this year. It's not that I didn't give them any funding. They're still using CARES money from Oklahoma Commerce. They didn't think they would be able to spend it in the amount of time that is needed before this allocation would kick in, so they opted to get more money with the CARES funding. So that's what they're spending. We keep them in our plan because CARES funding will eventually go away and be spent, and so we need to keep them in their plan. And of course, Edmond Public School Foundation, they partner with Edmond Public Schools. They kind of fill that gap where the school can't fund, and we have funded their early bird program. I don't know if some of y'all have seen that on Facebook. They do a really good job of promoting that, and that's what we support. So these are just recap a little bit of our public services. You'll see Metro Fair Housing on here. They actually administer all our housing education services, as well as they do the mediation between any landlord and tenant. Here in the city of Edmond, we do not handle that in-house. We pay them a portion out of our administration budget to do that. So moving on to housing, non-housing administration activities. Again, one of our biggest programs that we have is our housing rehabilitation program. Out of that funding, we also pay a rehab specialist who's a general contractor that goes out and evaluates the homes. Right now, we've always in the past historically done owner occupied, but we are going to be moving into potentially renter rehabs where if the owner is agreeable to our conditions, then we will help bring their home up to code or help put ADA accessibility in their homes. The rehabs, we focus on ADA accessibility, so that's ramps on the outside, that's bathroom amenities that it's needed, flooring, and then we move into health and safety issues and items such as a hot water tank or AC in some cases. Just like everybody else has been saying, our construction costs are going up. I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to have to decide out of the activities that we normally pay for that we can only pay for a few, or I'll be in front of you every 2 weeks with the rehab. So it's just construction costs are going up. We are also do home buyers assistance. Historically, we've only done $5,000 up to $5,000. We are now going to be expanding that program to $14,999, which is the federal limit. We're hoping to attract more home buyers in our CDBG area, and so the rehabs and the home buyers assistance priority goes to those individuals in our CDBG area, and then we expand out that way. We do have that requirement that we have to 51% or more have to be inside our CDBG area. Some other activities that we do a neighborhoods tree program where we do work with urban forestry and help trim trees for those individuals that can't do it themselves or that need assistance doing it. When we had that snowstorm a few years ago, we were able to assist quite a few families that couldn't bring it to the curb for the city to pick up, so we helped pay for that for them to bring it to the curb. I have demolition and code compliance up here. What that generally is if there is any code case that has where they have fencing that's being that's dilapidated and might be falling down, or a shed that they might have a code complaint on, we can go in and assist in that. We cannot pay for maintenance. So unfortunately, I've tried. I really tried with HUD this year to see if we could help assist with some cases that they're having in property maintenance, but that's not allowed under federal regulations. And then again, the 20% administration cost, again, Metro Fair Housing, we give about $10,000 to them to handle the mediation as well as they do our home buyers assistance class and other education services. The general administration, that pays for 2 staff members, 50% of their salary, as well as any federal regulation oversight, reporting, monitoring, everything else that I get to do. So these are just our goals. I've kind of already gone over them. I'll just kind of touch on new ones. Again, we're going to be adding the rental rehab to the housing rehabilitation program. We're increasing our home buyers assistance program, more of our public services, and then of course the oversight with administration. So this isn't a requirement to have any public comment or questions concerned from the council or the public at this time.
Thank you, Christy. Any comments, questions from the council?
Well, Christy, there's never enough money.
Never.
And I'm sure you get frustrated, but these are my neighbors. I mean, I live in these neighborhoods, and you're making a difference. I see it, I watch it, and I watch the people and have them tell me that we're making a difference in those neighborhoods, and I appreciate it. So keep up the good work, don't get frustrated, and keep applying for the grants. You're doing a great job. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I doubt anybody even knows that we do this. It's amazing.
Kudos to spreading that out like you do. And you couldn't do that without keeping in touch with these different groups. And you don't have to do that necessarily, or have that open line of communication with them, and you do. And that means it's working, or that there's a good relationship there and good communication with these organizations in our community. And I don't think we could ask for more than that. So thank you.
Yep, my pleasure.
Well, thank you, because everyone looks at us up here every 2 weeks and say, oh, all we're trying to do is build, build, build. But we do have a part of our community that we are trying our best to take care of. And you're part of that. So part of the requirement is for public comment. And I will open it up now. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to say anything or have any comments on this? I am not seeing any. Well, council,
What number is this?
this is 5A.
5A7.
Move to approve 5A7.
Second.
We have a motion second. Please cast your vote. All right, that item is approved. Thank you very much again.